Welcome back to the channel. So yes, we are going to be taking a look at a little mini crawler today. Now, a few of you have been asking to see a mini crawler on the channel, which is why I went out and actually got one. Now, I was surprised to see how many different options there are out there. So what I actually did was I tried to narrow it down to quite a cheap option, but I still wanted it to look really good. And this thing does look really promising. So this is the FTX Outback Mini Ranger. Now, looking at the specs for this, especially for the price, it does look really good. So I can't believe how small this thing actually is. This thing is tiny, but even though it's small, it does come with some really good features. I think there's only one thing left to do, and that is to actually get this thing unpacked. We'll see what we get in the box, and then we'll have a little look at the crawler itself, and we'll talk about some of the features and what it actually comes with. So let's have a quick look at what you actually get included in the box with this little mini crawler. There's not a huge amount that you actually get, but we'll start with the transmitter first. Now, this thing is quite small. The first thing that took me by surprise was how you actually put the AAA batteries into this thing. You actually have to unclip this from there. Trying to do this one-handed. The batteries actually go into here. Now, I wasn't expecting this to actually take AAAs. I had to run out and get some AAAs. You'd usually see sort of AA batteries in RC transmitters, but because they have tried to cut down on size with this thing, that is why this thing uses the AAAs instead. So the transmitter does feature your usual sort of features, such as your throttle dual rate, steering dual rate, throttle trim and steering trim. Overall, not a bad piece of kit. So we'll talk very briefly about the manual then. It does come with a nice colour cover, but inside it is actually black and white. It does cover all your basics that you'd potentially need to know, such as how to set up your transmitter, running the car, adjusting your trims, all that sort of stuff. A little bit of maintenance. And that's pretty much it for the transmitter really. How to charge your battery. The battery is a really small 1S 520 milliamp battery. This thing is tiny, but we have to remember that the little crawler itself is really small. You do also get a little USB charger in the box, which is going to be more than enough to get you started on this tiny little 1S. So that is pretty much all you get in the box. I think it's finally time to take a look at this little FTX Outback Mini 3. And here it is then. Now this thing looks absolutely fantastic. Can we just appreciate the body on this thing? It looks stunning. Now I decided to go for the metallic red, but you can also get this in green and black. Now the one thing I really like about this is the full-size spare wheel on the back there. I think that definitely helps to give this little thing a scale look. Now another really nice little feature on this is the LED lights. Although I have noticed that they only light up when you actually operate the model. As you can see here, that is the lights on the front bumper, and if we flip this around, you'll see the brake lights or the rear lights there. Now they don't stay on permanently, which is a little bit of a shame, but then again, still a nice little addition and a nice thing to have on such a cheap crawler. Now I also really like the roll cage on the top of this little body. Now that is nice and thick, the plastic is nice and thick, and that will definitely help absorb any impacts. Overall, this is a really nice and definitely a very well built little mini RC crawler. So I think what we'll do is we'll take the body off and we'll have a little look underneath. We'll talk about some of the other features under the body shell, and then we'll give this thing a little test run. So let's talk very quickly about what is going on under the body shell. So the first thing we'll talk about is the tiny little micro motor that you see there. Now this is mounted on the front, as you can see. I think on the previous models this was actually mounted on the, in the center, which meant that having the battery on the back as well, this thing was quite tow heavy. Having the motor there now, I think will definitely improve the stability of the vehicle. Now this does also feature a really small tiny 1 kilogram servo, which actually testing it is definitely quite powerful, considering that thing is tiny. So just as we were looking at the servo there, you may have noticed that this little crawler is in fact fully proportional as well, which is absolutely great. So let's talk very briefly about the ESC then. So this is a 2-in-1 ESC, which has your receiver built in as well. Now, this can run nickel metal hydride batteries and lithium polymer batteries. Obviously, we're going to be using the included 1S, but if you do decide you want to use nickel metal hydride batteries, it will support it. Now, the one thing that really stands out for me, which is a really excellent little feature, is the fact that they have gone for a 3-wire servo on this. Now, a lot of the time, especially on cheap RCs, we do see companies using 5-wire servos, which does make it difficult for us to upgrade at a later time. So I really like the fact that this ESC, or this 2-in-1 unit, can actually support a 3-wire servo. Now, it is really nice to see some metal on this as well. Considering the price, I do like the fact that this does come with aluminium chassis rails. So this little mini crawler does come with friction shocks. As you can see, it is a little bit bouncy. But at this price point, you really can't expect to see oil-filled shocks, especially on a micro crawler. There is absolutely nothing wrong with these little friction shocks. So let's take a closer look at the transmission then. So obviously we've got the gearbox there. We've got a nice metal drive shaft there leading into the transfer box. And then if we flip this around, this does feature 2 plastic drive shafts there, which obviously feeds the power to both the axles. Nothing wrong with that at all. And again, is something you would expect to see, you know, a fair few plastic parts on something as cheap as this. Now, the one thing I really love and really stands out about this little crawler is these really soft and sticky tyres. They are definitely going to help when it comes to crawling over some tricky obstacles. So I think there's only one thing left to do, and that is to actually give this thing a little test. This is the part that I've been really excited about. We'll get the body on and we'll see how this little thing performs on my little homemade course. Right then, so I have just used anything I can really find to make a very short and basic course. I'm very excited to see how this thing performs, so let's go ahead and do that now. Now, the last thing I want to do before we end this video is to see how much of a steep incline this thing can actually handle. And as you see here, it can handle a pretty steep incline absolutely fine. So this thing handled my little course absolutely fine. I can definitely see myself getting a couple more of these mini crawlers on the channel, and I can definitely see myself building a proper mini crawler course in the coming months. I've had a lot of fun with this today, and I would definitely recommend getting one of these. So overall, a really nice little mini crawler. I'm actually very impressed with this one, and I can see myself using this one quite a bit. So not only is it small, but it is extremely capable as well. I really like this little thing. So if you are looking for a small, cheap, but incredibly good looking mini crawler, definitely consider this little FTX Ranger. So we are going to leave the video there today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and feel free to drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this little mini crawler. Is there any other little crawlers out there that you would like me to test or feature on the channel? Let me know in the comment section down below. Cheers guys, and I'll see you soon on the next one. Take care.